Welcome to the Business Men and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Austin, and it is once again my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. I am so excited, yes, again, with another amazing professional here, an author who's going to be talking about her book and all the things that she is doing out there in the community. And I just can't wait to speak to her today. In 2018, there have been a tremendous amount of authors, speakers, health professionals, you name it, on this platform. So I'm really excited to have them all represented here and would love for you to take a moment to visit all the pages and listen to all the podcasts so you can get to know all of the professionals that we have on this platform. And if you happen to have missed this year's season, make sure you check with us at the end of the year for the call of speakers for the 2019 BMWOC. Just in case you did not know, the purpose of this podcast is to not only share our industry information, but we are encouraging you, the career seekers, the enthusiasts who is looking to see what's going on in the environment for which you work and do your business. And we want you to understand what's changing in your industry as well. So please make sure that you visit all the pages so that you don't miss any good information that is going to be out there today. Before we get started, I would like to take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors who are Cat Sereno LLC, Cheryl Wood Empowers, Concerning Learning, Evangelism Radio, Genesis Preferred Solutions, J Coach International, Nels Tax Help, My Financial Home, Power, STCI, and the Student Teacher, along with our other business affiliate partners, and everyone who is helping to make this event a huge success. So today we have an amazing young lady on this podcast today that has a very, very dynamic background. She has a history with her that is like no other that we don't really talk about and see. And so she's going to be talking about that today because I don't want to give that away. But out of that experience, she has overcome a lot of stuff and is now taking her talent and using it to promote her business and to help other people, particularly women, come up to their full potential. And so I want to read a little bit of her bio. As a teenage survivor of human trafficking and later becoming a victim of domestic violence, Anisha, which is AKA Annie Whitt, is a living testimony of that power of positive thinking and a strong spiritual foundation, which can provide supernatural comfort that only sustains her. She has created and offered out of this whole experience a new way to overcome that by teaching other entrepreneurs the step by step process that she used to start her own business called Desktop Publishing. And she did that started in 2016. And so Pivotal Advertising Services, which is the name of her business, produced the successful local magazine Coupons and Classifies Toledo. And this actually helped her build up more fellowship of some of the people in Toledo, Ohio, to help her with her business. And from that, she has a passion to help women come to their full potential. And so I want you to continue reading her bio so that you can get to know her a little better. In the meantime, Annie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for joining us and sharing your story. And I understand that this is a very sensitive topic with your background and everything. But if you can just share a little bit of your history and how did you get into desktop publishing?
Well, as you said, I was a victim of, well, I am a survivor of human trafficking and domestic violence, so I'm pretty familiar with the obstacles and like just the emotional disturbances and things that can come from going through turmoil in life, basically. So what I do now is I help women to step into their power and become successful entrepreneurs. But the way I do it is at a base level. And when I say I work with people at a base level, I mean I help them plant their roots. It's kind of like with a tree. The roots are underground, so you can't see them, but you know they're there. So it's similar to that. And you just know that roots are there because the tree is sturdy. Anything that is sturdy has a foundation. So what I consider my calling is to help people lay that foundation. Like a lot of people fail to realize that a proper foundation must be laid before you can even start a business. And where do you lay the foundation at? In your mind. So you can take in all the knowledge of how to run a particular business, but if you don't have your mind right, you'll either A, you won't ever get started, or B, you won't last because it's not just about going through the motion. All successful entrepreneurs have a certain mind state, and that is basically where I come in at. For example, I have, like just the other day, I was having lunch with a friend of mine, and the topic of his job came up. And he works for construction. He works for a construction company, building highways and byways and overpasses, constructing hospitals and drywall and all that kind of stuff. So he began discussing a project that they're working on, and he's like, I want to try to start my own construction company this year. And I almost immediately just stopped eating my food. I'm like, you want to try? So he just casually replied, like, yeah, sometime this year. So I put more emphasis on the words I wanted him to hear himself say. I'm like, you want to try? He goes, well, I am going to try. I literally am like raising my eyebrows and just looking at him, attempting to help him notice the error in his words, and he's still just eating his food casually. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? You can't try. You just got to do it. And that's the problem that a lot of people have. Like, I would say like 80% of people want to start a business. Like, if I walked into a room of 100 people and said, hey, raise your hand if you want to start a business, like almost the whole room would raise their hand, statistically like 63%. And I think it's just other people wouldn't want to admit it. But I mean, pretty much a lot of people want to be an entrepreneur. It gives you freedom and stuff like that. So it's like everybody wants to do it, but it's about having that proper mind state of actually doing it is where people get stuck at. So if you're not seeing yourself as a business owner, you're going to have a hard time being one. If you want to be a business owner, you have to first shift your mind state. Then and only then can you step into the reality of that situation. You cannot wear shoes that are too big for you. You got to grow your feet first. So whatever it is that a person wants to do, you need to think it, you need to feel it, you need to embody it, then you'll be able to become it. I recommend something called affirmations to my coaching clients. And for the listeners out there who are not familiar with affirmations, it might sound like a little bit funny to you at first, but what an affirmation is, it's when you repeat something over and over. And what you're doing when you're repeating is you're programming your subconscious mind to believe what you want to be true. So once you trick your mind into believing it's true, it will be true. And I'm like very big on these affirmations and meditations because it worked for me. I actually have another interesting story, which is that in 2015, I gave birth to my daughter who was 8 pounds. And then, like, the proof is in all my pictures at the hospital. I'm smiling. I'm comfortable. The nurses came in telling me how many inches dilated I was, and I just wasn't feeling anything. I had successfully programmed my mind for a painless birth. So since then, I've been kind of fascinated with the power of the mind.
I think one of the questions that, because you share so much information about the power of the mind and the affirmations, and so with everything you're saying is just so true. First, I would like to say I'm sorry that you experienced what you experienced, but out of that, you've been able to program your mind to keep forward. Given the fact
Oh,
that you
yes.
told that story about your friend who said, "Hey, I know I want to start a business. I know I can start a business." And it's no different when people say, "Hey, would you like to win $1 million? Do you want to play the lottery?" And everybody puts their hand up and say, "Yeah, I would like to play the lottery, but don't really want to give up any money." And it's really all about how do you invest in yourself, and do you really want to invest in yourself? And that's what I'm hearing in your conversation. I want to thank you for just going out there and just doing what you're doing in terms of empowering others to program their minds to move forward, because we do get stuck a lot of times. We get stuck in our reasons and our procrastination and anything that will give us a reason to not move forward. But you have actually just started, doing that and just pushing it out there with your business. So, with that concept, how did you get into desktop publishing? Because that's one of my all-time favorites that I did back in '97, and I still use those skills to this day. So, talk a little bit about, how did you get into desktop publishing and your experiences with this?
Well, it was back in 2016, so I had actually had my daughter in 2015 that I just mentioned. So when I went into wanting to start the magazine company for the desktop publishing company, that all desktop publishing is when you use a laptop or a computer to create publications and things like that. I went into desktop publishing with the mind that I wanted to do a magazine, and I'm like, I want to do a coupon magazine. And what got me started and interested in it was the fact that there wasn't very much startup cost. See, a lot of people don't know this, but any magazine that you see in publication, any magazine you pick up off the shelf, they're all funded by the advertisements inside of the magazine. So that was something that kind of caught my attention, and it was kind of like an aha moment for me. And I was like, you know what, you do have to invest something, and what you will be investing is time and energy. So you need to go out and talk to people, set up meetings, because you always have to invest something. Sometimes most of the time it's going to be money when you're starting a business, but you always have to invest something. So I'm like, okay, this isn't going to take a lot of money to start up. And that's basically how I got into it, is going to daycares in my area, going to schools, and I kind of had everything. There is a process, and that's what I take the people through if they want to get my lesson e-course, which is called the Magazine Money Academy. Like, I'll take you through there are different things that you need to know. Like, you have to get educated on exactly how the process goes so that you don't have to learn through trial and error, because I've already done it. There are some do's and don'ts. But basically, I went to the daycares in the area. I had my media kit. I had my brochures. I had my business card. I was dressed accordingly, and I had my mind right. And I would go in, and these places, the schools, the daycares, the stores, places with chains like Marco's and McDonald's and stuff like that, they use corporate marketing directors. So you have to try to set up a meeting with the actual marketing director, but they spend big bucks on advertising, and they have to advertise. So it's kind of like the money is getting spent anyway. Why not go in there and make a friend? Or, why not get in there and show them what you have to offer? Why not get in there and say, hey, I'm printing 10,000 magazines next month, and I would like for you guys to place an ad in here. And the marketing director, or the person in charge of the advertising budget, is who would go ahead and write that check and agree to place an ad so that their business can get seen, because every company has an advertising budget.
Yeah, absolutely. Advertising is definitely a key thing for any business. And that just goes into making sure you have the correct brand so that when you are advertising in any magazine or article or online, that people get it. They get it like right away, and they know what the value is. And so you talked about earlier about the do's and don'ts. Can you share at least two or three do's or don'ts, any combination of that, if someone wants to go into desktop publishing or any kind of magazine publication?
I can. I absolutely wouldn't mind. I'll give you one that I did in my first year. I would advise anybody not to do a monthly magazine if you're going to be doing it yourself. You're going to need a staff, because it's just a lot of work. So you want to do like quarterly, so that you'll have enough time to get everything done, to collect all the ads, to do all the sales, to do the graphics. I was doing like all of this myself, and getting the orders in, doing the distribution. You wouldn't want to do it monthly, because that's a little too quick. Like, you're going to be so busy, you don't have time for other ventures. And in desktop publishing, you do have other things to do, which is like people might want to order flyers and business cards and banners and stuff like that. So you're doing graphic designs and that type of thing, or websites. And if you want to publish a magazine by the month, you're going to be too occupied. Like, you're going to be so occupied with that one magazine. The money is good. The money is decent, but, you know, you don't want to be so tied up. You want to work smart, not you want to work smarter, not harder, is what I
Yeah.
believe in, basically.
Mhm. Okay,
And another
nice.
thing is like the tax forms.
Mhm.
One thing I advise people in my course, like, I just make them familiar with different things like the tax form. I believe it's called a 1099. Don't quote me. I hope I'm not wrong. I believe it is a 1099 though. When a business spends over $600 with your business, so B2B is business to business. That's what they call it when your company deals with other companies instead of dealing with customers or citizens. It's B2B. So dealing with business to business, if somebody else spends over $600, they're supposed to send over a 1099, and when tax season comes around, that's kind of what you use to file. It's kind of like a receipt, but I like
Right.
to get people familiar. I just want people to be familiar so that they're not looking lost. Like, you don't want to be in a meeting and look like you don't know what's going on. You know, like, okay, we're going to send you a 1099 because you're writing a
Exactly.
$1,500 check, and then you don't really know what's going on. So I just
Mhm.
familiarize, get everybody familiar with exactly what to expect.
Nice. Okay. So for everybody that's listening, you definitely have to make sure that you are very well aware of all the points that she said in terms of your business, including any tax implications, because you are getting paid per advertisement in your magazine. If you're trying to do a magazine or some type of digital publication, and just like Annie said, if you're getting over an X amount of money, which is the amount of money that is in your state in your tax law, that will say that if you receive or you pay out X amount of money, then there is a tax document, whether it be a 1099 miscellaneous or any of those 1099s that says that you receive some type of income, or that you paid out some type of expenses. You definitely want to make sure you know what that is so that you can take advantage of the tax write-off or the discounts or maybe deductions that you will be offered as a small business. So that is definitely. And then also she has an e-course. So she has an e-course that's teaching you everything you need to know about, entrepreneurship, step by step, how to start a profitable desktop publishing business. I think that that is an excellent course for any small business to do, because even with my small business, I have to use my desktop publishing skills to do flyers and brochures, and it saves me so much money because I could do it myself. However, just make sure that if you're not proficient in technology and learning how to do desktop publishing, still go to the course so that you can become familiar about how to manage it. Because God forbid that the people that you use that do your graphics go out of business, or maybe you decide to go with someone else and you don't have access to your graphics, you don't have access to all of the advertisement that you are working on. So it's really, really helpful to understand the process in which things are developed so that you know how to, manage and your budget when it comes to marketing. And that's a really good point. So, Annie, are you involved in any other type of online webinars or workshops that talk about desktop publishing or other areas of your skill that you want to share with the audience?
I'm not. I'm actually just very passionate about helping people heal and helping them set goals and just get past personal issues and things like that, because like your personal things that happen to you in the past can really hinder people sometimes. They'll be stuck in depression, they don't have motivation, they don't feel like they can do anything, low self esteem, whatever, you name it. Like these things can all stem from events that have happened to them in the past and they can't move forward. So instead of just helping people get past that, I like to make sure that they set a goal and help them catapult past. Like, I'm trying to help them not just pull them out of a dark place, but I want to catapult you to through the stratosphere. I want you to go ahead and set some goals after that and try to reach those goals. But as far as my book is concerned and my desktop publishing course, I am available to answer questions. I'll answer emails and stuff like that if anybody's like going through my lessons and have any questions, or are going through the motions of getting started and they want to know and they have any questions, I'm open for that kind of thing. But those are just two ventures that I wanted to make sure I put out there because I would be doing the world and myself a disservice to just keep it to myself. When you know something, I believe that people should go ahead and share it.
Yeah, absolutely. So give everybody your contact information, including your website, so they can contact you after this interview.
Okay, my website is Anisha Speaks, which is ANIESHA Speaks SPEAKS. So AnishaSpeaks.com, and there you can learn a little bit more about me. You can book me for speaking events. You can get more information on my e-course, get more information on my life coaching, and you can also get like free personal development tools. So I just offer just a few things. You know, I try to stay inside of my niche and just be very focused on the desktop publishing and the goal setting after
Mhm.
getting through personal issues. You know, like I want it to always be about reaching a goal.
Okay. And so in your bio, and for the last question, for those folks who are listening to your podcast and may be in a situation of domestic violence, because we have so many people on the podcast this year and last year that talks about that. But if you wanted to give one or two pieces of advice for that person who is listening on how to persevere, how to be empowered, um, what would you tell them?
I would say forgive yourself because sometimes we can hold a grudge against ourselves or wait for somebody else to tell us it's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, every day, I feel like every day you need to wake up. If you've just gotten away from that person, first of all, my first piece of advice is always cut all contact. But if you're still in that situation or you just can't seem to get over it once you've left, every day you have to go through a process of just forgiving yourself. That's even if you have to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I forgive you for getting involved in this situation. I forgive you for gaining all this weight. I forgive you for letting somebody else make you feel small. Like, you have to tell yourself, you have to build a relationship with yourself. And at the end of the day, nobody can do that but you. So I would just encourage any women out there or any person who's going through a domestic violence or abusive situation, like, you really have to start to look into yourself.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being candid with your answers. And I'm really inspired by you. And I definitely
Thank
applaud
you.
your bravery to have persevered yourself and turned it into something very, very positive in your life. And I am also very much wishing you so much luck to empower women of all status, doesn't matter where they are in their life, to help them get through whatever it is that is keeping them stuck. And so I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing.
And I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.